Hi, we're here with Gary Teal of Avivara out of Guatemala, and Gary's here from Antigua. Gary, can you take a moment and tell me a little bit about the company?
Well, actually, the project, we're an NGO in Guatemala. We're now 4 years old. We're also a 501c3 here in the United States, so any donations are tax deductible to us. Our main programs, we're really interested in improving education in Guatemala because we feel that education is a fundamental pathway out of poverty. It's a fundamental human right, and it's a means of achieving social equality, especially in Guatemala, where there's been 500 years of oppression and exploitation of its indigenous population. We have three major areas that we work on. We provide grants to schools, and in those grants we look for schools in villages that are quite poor, usually between 75 and 85% poverty. And then we also look at schools with faculties that have the energy and the vision to actually use resources well to improve education for the children in the villages. When we find a school like that, we sit down with the teachers, the administrators, and the elders of the community and ask them what they see as the next step is important for improving education in their village. And that can change. That can be different for each village. In one, it might be building additional classrooms. In another, it's providing textbooks. In a third, we're providing a breakfast program because the children were coming to school hungry. So it really depends upon where each school is at and what they define as most important. All of these schools are public schools in Guatemala, which all the public schools in Guatemala are disgracefully underfunded. It funds the least percentage of gross domestic product in all of the Western Hemisphere, 1.5%, and it ranks 170th out of 184 countries in the world in terms of funding for education. So it really is not investing in education for the rural poor. So that's where we focus our efforts. Our second program is to provide scholarships to students who have completed 6th grade and wish to continue on to junior high, high school, and university. For many of these children, there are no junior high or high schools in their villages, so they have to travel to larger cities, and there are costs involved in that. They also need money for books, supplies. In some cases, especially for those going on to university, we provide some technological support in the form of notebooks and internet access. Last year, we provided scholarships to over 120 students.
And what can somebody here do to help you and the kids in Guatemala?
Well, primarily our function is to take resources, money, from the United States, bring it into Guatemala and purchase supplies and get that money distributed to people who can use it well in improving their educational status, and then from that improving their family's economic capacity, reducing infant mortality, reducing crime and violence in the village, since we know that education is linked to that. And then a pretty critical factor is also the fact that additional years of education slows the age of first childbirth for the young women of Guatemala. And that's going to be a problem because by the year 2050, it's estimated that the population of Guatemala will increase by 142%. So they will grow, unless it changes, they'll grow from a country of 14 million to a country of nearly 36 to 38 million. And there's simply not the natural resources to support that, especially with the distribution of land the way it currently sits, where 80% of the land and wealth is owned by 1% of the population.